Welcome to Kentucky, a land that hides its secrets deep beneath the soil and stone. Here, ancient walls guard forgotten hills, massive mounds whisper of a lost race, and endless caverns stretch into darkness where light has never reached. For centuries, explorers, scientists, and locals have uncovered things that don't belong. Artifacts too old, structures too perfect, and remains too strange to explain. What happened here long before history began? Today, we'll uncover 3 of Kentucky's greatest ancient mysteries, the ones science still can't solve. Let's explore. The Mammoth Cave underground civilization. Deep under the green hills of Kentucky lies a world that seems endless. A place so vast that it swallows sound, light, and perhaps even history itself. This is Mammoth Cave, the largest known cave system on Earth, stretching for more than 400 miles underground. And even today, no one knows exactly how far it goes. But what makes this place truly mysterious isn't just its size, it's what was found inside. The traces of people who once lived, worked, and maybe even worshipped in this underground world thousands of years before our modern story began. Long before tourists came here with flashlights and cameras, ancient humans walked these same passages carrying torches of burning cane. They left behind artifacts that still defy explanation. Tools made from stone and bone, woven slippers, torches charred black by time, and even mummified remains perfectly preserved in the dry air of the cave. Archaeologists date some of these discoveries to nearly 5,000 years ago, long before the Egyptian pyramids were built. And that raises one chilling question. What kind of civilization was living beneath Kentucky's surface, and why? When early settlers first stumbled upon Mammoth Cave in the late 1700s, they believed they were the first to explore it. But as they went deeper, their lanterns illuminated something they couldn't explain. Carvings on the walls, traces of fire pits, and ancient cane torches scattered across the ground. Someone had been here long, long ago. And they hadn't just visited, they had lived here. Over the years, explorers uncovered evidence that the ancient people who entered Mammoth Cave weren't just passing through for shelter. They were mining, building, and perhaps performing rituals deep within. Along the walls, researchers found pick marks, hundreds of them, left by primitive stone tools. The ancient miners had carefully extracted a mineral called gypsum, along with epsomite and mirabilite, white crystals that may have been used for medicine, trade, or spiritual purposes. These aren't materials you'd find near the surface. They had to go deep into the earth to get them. That means these people navigated miles of total darkness with no modern equipment, no maps, and only flickering torches for light. Just imagine it. Long lines of ancient miners crawling through twisting tunnels, their fires glowing orange against damp walls, their voices echoing softly through the caverns. They carry baskets, tools, and maybe even children. They were comfortable down here, too comfortable for ordinary visitors. Some archaeologists believe this civilization used the cave as a sanctuary, a place for burial, ritual, or refuge. Others suggest they were skilled traders who mined minerals to exchange with neighboring tribes across the ancient Midwest. But there's another, more haunting theory, that these people were part of a larger, forgotten civilization, one that vanished long before written history, leaving only whispers beneath the rock. In the 1800s, explorers made one of the cave's most famous and unsettling discoveries: the body of a mummified man, perfectly preserved, lying beneath a massive boulder. His skin was leathery but intact, his hair still visible. Around him were tools, a woven bag, and torches, suggesting he wasn't a burial victim, but a miner trapped by a sudden cave collapse. The mummy was named Fawnhoof, and scientists estimated he was over 3,000 years old. When his remains were displayed publicly in the 1800s, visitors were stunned. He looked almost humanly alive. But Fraunhofer wasn't the only one. Over time, several other mummified remains were reported in the Mammoth Cave region. All ancient, all seemingly preserved by the dry, still air. Many were later lost, sold, or taken by museums that no longer exist. Their disappearance has only added to the mystery. What's strange is how advanced these early cave dwellers seemed to be. The tools they used were expertly shaped. The baskets were woven with intricate designs. They understood how to burn torches in low-oxygen environments, something that even modern explorers struggle with. Some of their chambers show evidence of planned ventilation, as if they knew how air moved underground. How could a Stone Age culture have this much knowledge? There are even rumors of symbols carved into rock, shapes that resemble constellations or maps. If that's true, it could mean the cave wasn't just a mine. It was a spiritual or astronomical site, hidden beneath the earth. And then there's what the locals have always whispered, that Mammoth Cave isn't just a natural wonder. It's a gateway. Some say it connects to other cave systems that stretch for hundreds of miles beneath Kentucky, Tennessee, and even into the Midwest. Old folklore calls it the underworld, a place where the spirits of the dead walk, where ancient beings still reside. Modern explorers have sometimes come back from deep expeditions reporting strange experiences. The feeling of being watched, sudden drops in temperature, and the eerie sound of footsteps that echo but never approach. Scientists dismiss these as natural acoustics or paranoia. But for those who've been there, deep in the black tunnels, the feeling is unforgettable, like someone is still down there. One of the strangest accounts came from the early 20th century, when a team of explorers discovered what they described as stone chambers far off the known tourist paths. They reported small alcoves, perfectly shaped, unlike anything naturally formed. Within them were ashes, animal bones, and what looked like human carvings. The team noted the location, but when they tried to return later, they couldn't find the same passage again. Some believe shifting cave collapses sealed that section forever. Others think those explorers stumbled into something not meant to be found. Even more bizarre are reports from 1800s miners who claimed to find ancient inscriptions on the walls. Symbols they couldn't recognize, like writing from a lost culture. Most of these claims were dismissed as exaggerations, but a few of those markings still exist today, deep within the restricted sections of the cave, protected from public view. No one's ever been able to explain them. When you stand inside Mammoth Cave, it's easy to feel the weight of time. The silence is absolute. Every sound bounces endlessly off the stone. The air feels old, untouched by centuries. It's not hard to imagine what it must have been like for those first ancient miners, standing with their torches flickering in the darkness, believing they were in the presence of something divine. The Native American legends of the region speak of people beneath the earth, spirits who live in darkness and guard the secrets of time. Some modern researchers think these stories might actually be memories, ancient echoes of the cave's real inhabitants. If that's true, then the people who lived in Mammoth Cave weren't just miners or wanderers. They might have been priests, astronomers, or guardians of something sacred. In recent years, deeper exploration with new technology has revealed even more mysteries. Tunnels that end abruptly in perfect circles, walls blackened by ancient fire, and chambers that seem to have been shaped by human hands. Scientists have confirmed that much of this was indeed carved or altered by people thousands of years ago. But the big question remains, why did they stop? Around 2,000 years ago, activity inside the cave suddenly ceased. The tools, the torches, and the mining all ended. As if someone flipped a switch. The cave was abandoned, sealed by silence. No one knows why. There's no sign of war or disaster. It's like an entire civilization simply vanished into the darkness they once called home. Some believe disease or famine forced them out. Others think a collapse buried their sacred chambers, trapping their people forever. But there's also a more chilling possibility, that they never truly left. That deep within the parts of Mammoth Cave no human has reached yet, their remains, artifacts, and perhaps even their stories still wait to be found. Mammoth Cave today is a popular tourist destination. Millions walk through its main passages, guided by lights and railings. But only a fraction of the system is open to the public. The rest, hundreds of miles of dark tunnels, untouched chambers, and unexplored shafts remain closed. Some say that's for safety. Others think it's because of what lies hidden down there. Things that could rewrite history. When you stand at the mouth of Mammoth Cave at dusk, the air feels different. Colder, stiller, ancient. The forest around it goes quiet. And if you listen closely, you can almost hear the faint drip of water echoing through the darkness. Like the heartbeat of the earth itself. Maybe those old stories were right. Maybe Mammoth Cave really is a world between worlds. A bridge between the living and the dead. Between the known and the forgotten. A place where the ancient and the eternal meet in silence. And maybe, just maybe, those torches that burned out thousands of years ago still flicker somewhere, deep in the unseen heart of the cave, waiting for someone to find them again. The Kelly-Hopkinsville Encounter, Kentucky's Night of Visitors. It was a warm summer night in rural Kentucky, August 21st, 1955, when a small farmhouse near the towns of Kelly and Hopkinsville became the center of one of the strangest, most terrifying mysteries in American history. What happened that night wasn't just a story of fear. It was something deeper, something that made even the U.S. Air Force take notice. To this day, no one can explain what really descended on that lonely stretch of farmland. Creatures, spirits, or something not of this world. It began just after sunset. Inside the Sutton family farmhouse were 11 people, friends and relatives enjoying a quiet evening. There was no phone, no TV, no noise but the crickets outside. Then, around 7 p.m., one of the men, Billy Ray Taylor, stepped outside to fetch water from the well. As he looked up into the sky, he froze. Above the trees, he saw what he described as a glowing metallic object, round, silently moving through the air, leaving behind a trail of shimmering color like rainbow fire. It hovered briefly, then seemed to descend behind a nearby ridge. Billy ran back inside, shouting that he had seen a flying saucer. The others laughed until the dogs began barking, growling toward the darkness beyond the house. Moments later, something emerged from the woods. They saw it first in the faint light of the porch lamp. A small creature, about 3.5 feet tall, with a large, round head, oversized, glowing eyes, long arms that nearly touched the ground, and claws that shimmered like metal. Its body seemed to glow faintly, almost like moonlight reflecting off water. In shock, the family retreated inside and grabbed their rifles and shotguns. When the creature approached the porch, they fired, point blank. The shots rang out into the night, echoing through the Kentucky hills. The being flipped backward, but didn't fall. Instead, it seemed to float into the shadows and vanish. Then came another one, and another. The family said they saw dozens of them, moving in and out of the trees, peeking through windows, climbing onto the roof, tapping on walls. When shot, they didn't bleed or fall. They just glided away, silently. Their movements weren't human. They floated more than walked. Inside, the family panicked. They turned off all the lights, crouched in corners, and waited, guns ready. For nearly 4 hours, the creatures surrounded the house. At one point, one reached down from the roof and brushed a man's hair through an open window. Another peered through the screen door, its eyes glowing yellow-green, like a cat's in the dark. Every shot they fired seemed useless. The bullets made a sound like metal hitting a bucket, as if the creatures were made of some thin metallic material that deflected impact. The family later said that when they hit the creatures, they didn't fall. They just floated backward into the dark, unharmed. By 11 p.m., desperate and terrified, the family piled into their trucks and drove to the Hopkinsville police station. The officers could see the terror on their faces. These weren't drunks or pranksters. They were pale, trembling, and armed. Within minutes, a dozen officers, state troopers, and military police were dispatched to the farmhouse. They searched the property carefully. No sign of any attackers. No tracks, no blood, no damage, except for bullet holes in the windows and walls. The police even reported that the witnesses seemed genuinely afraid, not lying. But the strangest part came when one officer noticed a faint metallic glow in parts of the yard, as if something had left behind a strange residue. The glow faded as the night went on. The officers left around 2 a.m. The family returned home exhausted, but just before dawn, the creatures came back. They appeared again at the window, watching silently. More gunfire followed, more sounds of movement on the roof. The siege lasted until sunrise. When daylight came, everything stopped. The creatures vanished, as if they had never been there. News of the event spread quickly. Reporters from across the country arrived. The Air Force investigated it under Project Blue Book, their official UFO program. Scientists, skeptics, and journalists all came to the same quiet farm, searching for answers. But there were none. There were no footprints, just a few small depressions in the ground. No remains, no burnt trees, no craft, nothing physical. Yet every witness, all 11 of them, told the same story in perfect consistency. The drawings they made of the beings were nearly identical. Soon, the story became national news. The Hopkinsville Goblins. That's what the press called them. Goblins, aliens, visitors. The term Little Green Men actually became popular because of this case. But behind the headlines was something deeper, something the investigators couldn't explain away so easily. For one, the witnesses had no reason to invent the story. They were simple farm families, poor, private, and terrified. They gained nothing but ridicule from the attention. Some even moved away after the incident. Then there were the physical details, the metallic sounds when shooting, the glowing patches of ground, the electromagnetic interference reported by a nearby base, and the strange lights seen by locals in the sky that same night. To this day, no one has explained those details. The official Air Force explanation was that the witnesses had mistaken great horned owls for aliens, that the birds' large eyes and silent flight had caused the panic. But the family swore that what they saw was not any kind of animal. The creatures had no feathers, no beak, and moved like nothing on Earth. Over the years, new evidence emerged. Locals claimed to see strange lights over the same area again in the 1960s and 1970s. Hunters reported glowing eyes in the trees that didn't reflect like animal eyes. And in 2017, NASA physicist Stanton Friedman revisited the case, calling it one of the most credible close encounters ever recorded. Some believe the creatures came from Mammoth Cave, part of the world's largest cave system running beneath Kentucky. If that's true, the beings may not have come from the stars, but from below. Ancient legends from the region speak of small, shining people who lived underground long before humans came. Could the Kelly beings have been something ancient, re-emerging from the depths for a single night? Others think it was a military experiment gone wrong, perhaps a test involving radiation or projection technology. But again, there's no proof, no documents, no cover-up trail, just silence. The most haunting detail comes from one of the youngest witnesses, a child at the time. Decades later, she said that in her dreams, she still sees them. Those wide, shining eyes watching her through the dark. She said they didn't seem evil, more like curious, as if they weren't attacking but observing. That idea changes everything. What if that night wasn't an invasion, but a contact? What if the beings were simply exploring, drawn by curiosity to a small farmhouse glowing with human light? We may never know, but one thing is certain. Something real and extraordinary happened that night. 11 people saw it. The police confirmed the fear. The press confirmed the evidence. And the mystery still echoes through time. Every August, the small town of Kelly holds a festival, the Little Green Men Days. It's part celebration, part remembrance. But if you ask the older locals, they'll tell you, when the sun sets and the woods grow quiet, they still feel like something's out there, watching from the trees. Maybe it's just memory, or maybe the visitors never really left. Whatever they were, wherever they came from, that night in 1955, something came to Kentucky that no one could explain. And for a brief, terrifying moment, the quiet farmland of Kelly became the center of the universe. Adena Mounds, Kentucky's ancient secrets. Deep in the heart of Kentucky, across the rolling hills and along the winding rivers of the Ohio Valley, lie the Adena Mounds, silent witnesses to a time long before modern civilization. These earthen structures, built over 2,000 years ago by the Adena culture, rise quietly from the landscape. They are conical, carefully shaped, and steeped in mystery. To the casual observer, they might seem like simple mounds of earth, but to those who look closer, they are portals into the spiritual and ceremonial life of an ancient people. The Adena culture thrived between 1000 BCE and 200 CE. They were among the first complex societies in what is now the Ohio Valley region, and their influence stretched across parts of present-day Kentucky, Ohio, and West Virginia. The Adena were known for their sophisticated social structures, intricate artwork, and most notably, their monumental earthworks. These mounds were not just random piles of soil. They were carefully planned and meticulously constructed, often serving as burial sites, ceremonial centers, or markers of cosmic significance. One of the most fascinating aspects of the Adena Mounds is their sheer scale. Some mounds rise 20 feet or more with perfectly rounded tops and symmetrical slopes. Archaeologists believe that building such structures required coordinated labor, careful planning, and a deep understanding of engineering and geometry. How did a society without modern tools accomplish this? The answer remains partly a mystery, adding to the allure of these ancient monuments. Burials within the mounds reveal much about the Adena people. Excavations have uncovered human remains laid carefully within the earthen structures, often accompanied by ceremonial objects. These items include polished stone tools, intricately crafted pipes, copper ornaments, and beads. Each artifact tells a story, not just of daily life, but of spiritual beliefs and social hierarchy. The presence of exotic materials, such as copper from distant regions, suggests that the Adena engaged in long-distance trade, connecting them to a wider network of ancient communities. Many of the mounds are thought to have been ceremonial centers, places where the living could honor the dead, celebrate seasonal changes, or conduct rituals to communicate with the spiritual world. Some archaeologists theorize that certain mounds were aligned with celestial events, such as solstices or equinoxes, indicating that the Adena people had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Standing on these mounds during sunrise or sunset, one can almost imagine the ancient rituals, the chanting, the smoke rising into the sky as offerings were made. They were often part of larger complexes. Some sites contain clusters of mounds arranged in patterns that may have held ceremonial or symbolic significance. Paths connecting mounds suggest that the Adena had carefully planned their landscapes, blending natural features with constructed monuments to create sacred spaces. These complexes functioned as hubs of community life, where social, religious, and political activities intersected. Artifacts recovered from the mounds provide glimpses into the spiritual life of the Adena. One of the most iconic finds is the Adena effigy pipe, often carved from stone into the shape of humans or animals. These pipes were likely used in ritualistic ceremonies, possibly to commune with spirits or ancestors. The artistry of these objects reflects a deep reverence for the natural world and an advanced sense of symbolism. Each carving, each curve, carries meaning, offering modern observers a window into the beliefs and values of a long-lost civilization. The construction of the mounds also suggests a strong social organization. Moving tons of earth without modern machinery would have required cooperation, leadership, and shared purpose. Who oversaw these projects? How were workers coordinated, fed, and motivated? Archaeologists have found traces of wooden structures and platforms atop some mounds, suggesting that they may have been used for ceremonies, leadership gatherings, or as lookouts over the surrounding lands. The effort involved points to a community that valued unity, ritual, and the sacred power of the earth itself. Many Adena mounds have been preserved in parks and protected areas, allowing visitors to explore these ancient sites. Walking among them, one cannot help but feel a connection to the past. There is a quietness, almost reverence in the air, as if the mounds themselves guard the stories of those who built them. Birds circle overhead, wind rustles through the grass, and the earth beneath your feet seems alive with memory. It is an experience that transcends time, offering a direct link to a civilization that existed millennia ago. Yet, despite centuries of study, much about the Adena mounds remains a mystery. Who exactly were the Adena people? How did they develop their advanced skills in mound building, art, and astronomy? What beliefs guided their rituals and social structures? Each excavation reveals more fragments of their story, but the full picture remains elusive. The mounds stand as enduring enigmas, silent but eloquent testaments to human creativity, spirituality, and ingenuity. One of the most compelling aspects of the Adena mounds is their enduring presence in the landscape. Unlike buildings that crumble or artifacts that decay, the mounds have persisted for thousands of years. They have weathered storms, floods, and human encroachment, standing as ancient sentinels over the land. They remind us that even in the distant past, humans sought to leave a mark, to create something lasting that connected the living with the spiritual, the temporal with the eternal. The mounds also invite reflection on life, death, and community. Each mound represents not just the physical remains of the dead, but the collective effort of a people to honor their ancestors and maintain social cohesion. They are monuments to human resilience, to the desire to understand the cosmos and our place within it. Walking among the mounds, it is easy to sense the rhythm of ancient life, the work, the rituals, the celebrations, and the profound respect for the cycles of nature. Some mounds are associated with ancient myths and folklore. Local legends speak of spirits guarding the mounds, or of treasures buried by the ancients that have yet to be found. These stories add a layer of intrigue, blending archaeology with imagination. Whether these tales have a basis in truth or are the products of human creativity, they serve to highlight the mysterious aura that surrounds these ancient sites. Modern technology continues to reveal new insights. Ground-penetrating radar, aerial surveys, and advanced dating techniques allow archaeologists to study the mounds without disturbing them. Patterns emerge that suggest even more complexity in the construction and purpose of the mounds. Some mounds appear to have multiple layers built over successive generations, each layer adding to the ritual significance and reinforcing the connection between past and present. The Adena Mounds also tell a story of interaction with the natural world. Many were built near rivers, fertile lands, or elevated terrain, demonstrating an understanding of geography, hydrology, and sustainability. The Adena people shaped the landscape carefully, harmonizing their constructions with the environment. This balance between human activity and nature is part of what makes the mounds so compelling. They are both art and infrastructure, spiritual center, and community hub. Visitors to Kentucky today can explore the Adena Mounds and other related sites, walking the same lands where ancient peoples once lived, worked, and worshipped. Interpretive centers, signage, and preserved pathways provide context, but the true experience is in standing among the mounds, feeling the quiet power of Earth shaped by human hands thousands of years ago. It is an encounter with history, mystery, and the enduring human spirit. In conclusion, the Adena Mounds of Kentucky are more than archaeological sites. They are living monuments to a people who valued community, spirituality, and connection to the cosmos. Each mound is a story, each artifact a message, and each site a window into a time when humans sought to understand their world and leave a lasting mark upon it. As we walk among the mounds, we are reminded that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the earth, in our imaginations, and in the quiet whispers of history, waiting to be heard. The Adena Mounds invite us to ponder questions that remain unanswered. Who were the Adena people in their daily lives? What drove them to create these massive earthworks? How did their culture evolve? And what became of them? These questions may never be fully answered, but the mounds themselves offer a tangible connection to their legacy. They are monuments of memory, resilience, and human creativity, standing proudly across Kentucky, calling us to explore, reflect, and wonder. To visit the Adena Mounds is to step back in time, to walk among the ancestors, and to feel the weight of centuries beneath your feet. Each mound, each contour, each artifact is a piece of a puzzle that tells the story of early America, of its people, and of the enduring desire to connect with something greater than ourselves. The Adena Mounds remain a testament to humanity's capacity for art, engineering, and spiritual expression, offering a mystery that continues to captivate, inspire, and educate those who seek to understand them.